This is Morgan with the American SBCC. I'm here with Irin. She is the co-founder and CEO of MamaZen, an effective and innovative solution to support the mental and emotional well-being of parents. So important. And they have a main focus on motherhood, starting in pregnancy all the way through adolescence. So Irin, welcome. So good to be here with you today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for talking about this really important topic.
Yeah, of course. And so you obviously, like, as a founder of a mindfulness app, what are some of the stressors that you experienced as a mom that were kind of new to your life that you hadn't experienced before, that was like a big motivator for you to, seek out a solution?
Yeah, so before I was a mom, I was actually an athlete, and I was also in the military. So coming into motherhood, I was very, very strong in my mind and body, and I really thought I knew myself. And I remember that we read all the books and we were very excited, and then we got pregnant. And within a week or so, we experienced our first miscarriage.
Mm.
And that was my introduction to motherhood. It was really the highs and the lows, right? The excitement, and then boom, you all of a sudden get hit and you're so confused, like, what happened? And then I remember we were very much shocked and not really sure how we were gonna, go for the next one and the next try. And I remember going to see my doctor, and he said, just wait a cycle. And this is very apparently very it happens a lot. I think it's like
Mhm.
1 in 4 first time pregnancies end in a miscarriage, but you don't really hear about it. So I didn't know about that, and that made me feel a little bit more um not like that I'm not out of, it's not out of the ordinary. It's not something that just happened to me. And then we waited a cycle, and then we tried again. We got pregnant again. So my second pregnancy with my rainbow baby was a little bit different, right? Because now I had fears.
Mhm.
So I remember going to the checkups, and throughout the whole pregnancy, every time we would go and do a test or go to the ultrasound, every time it was, okay, I'm hoping the baby's healthy. I'm hoping the baby's growing correctly. I hope that we're not going to get any bad news. And I remember getting to the last month, and we go for our ultrasound, and then they tell me, well, the baby growth has stopped. She's actually taking more blood to her uh, brain and her heart, and the limbs are not growing as much. So we think we need to deliver early. And I said, oh, wow, I didn't even know that can happen.
Yeah.
So, and I really, really planned on having a natural birth.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I was induced. So being induced is very, very hard. You go basically from having no contractions to all of a sudden you have a contraction every minute. And it was very traumatic, and it was very hard on the body. And they broke my water, and I got an infection. And then I was able to actually avoid a C-section, which was nice. But it took me about 24 hours to deliver my first baby, and I came out of it exhausted. Unfortunately, the baby got the infection, and she had to stay in the hospital. So now I'm dealing with the baby in the hospital. Breastfeeding was completely upside down. Recovering from a traumatic delivery, having a baby at the hospital, not being able to breastfeed, I started experiencing emotions I never felt before: anxiety, stress, overwhelm, exhaustion. And I was like, oh my God, this feels like coming out of a car accident. It was just very, very hard. Then coming home with the baby, baby's colic. So the crying and the lack of sleep, and it's just build, it's a period that just keeps on building, and the exhaustion keeps on going worse and worse. And over time, if you don't start taking care of yourself, you're going to start feeling burned out. And feeling burned out is really causing a lot of different things in your body that we can discuss. So these are some of the stressors I experienced when I was introduced into motherhood.
Yeah, it's I mean, the anxiety and the helplessness is
Hmm.
so hard, and that's just the beginning, you know? That's
Yeah.
just up until birth, basically. Um, and then obviously that's a lot on the mom.
Hmm.
And so what do you see as some of the like common misconceptions of kind of like self-care and handling all these stresses? Because that's something that you talk about as well, is like the different ways to handle stress and what's effective. So what do you see as like common ways that parents are trying to like deal with the stress, but maybe end up being more like they're kind of spinning their wheels?
So I think the most important thing, the misconception number one is women are built to do this. You guys are meant to do this. So why is it so hard? Well, because it is traumatic, right? It's pregnancy is raising a human being inside your body, and then delivery can be very traumatic for some of us. And raising a baby is bringing a lot of responsibility. So if we don't have a village around us to help us, we're left alone to deal with all this. And I feel a lot of the time, and I was one of those moms, I neglected myself completely because I was in the turmoil of motherhood and I couldn't see out. So I think the first step is to be aware. Be aware if you are doing things for yourself, you are still a human being. Be aware of your feelings and be aware of your thoughts. So that's very, very important. Once you become aware that you are drowning, that you are going through a cycle of burnout, that you are going through a cycle of anxiety or depression, then try to find the tools. So I searched the internet for a long, long time, for a few years, until I found the solution, which is now MamaZen. But it took me a long time to kind of realize the resources and the tools out there are not good enough. Taking a bubble bath doesn't help with motherhood burnout.
Hmm.
Calling a friend and talking about how you feel doesn't help solve the problem. It actually enhances the problem. So you need to find the tools that work for you, that are going to help you with changing your thoughts, changing your being, because now you're a different person. Once you become a mom, you're no longer that person. So there's a loss of that identity,
Yeah.
and you have to also accept your new role. And once you accept it, then you are able to push forward and really maximize the experience, and you can deal with it with a clearer mind. So I don't have time to do things for myself is also a misconception. If you have time to be on social media, if you have time to watch Netflix movies, if you have time to pour a glass of wine, you can find the time to do something for yourself that's going to actually lift you up. Another misconception, it won't make a difference. Whatever I do, it's not, nothing's going to help me. That's being stuck, right? You're stuck in that, and you're going to actually reinforce in it. So any solution you try to do, you're getting the result of, you see, it didn't help. Keep on trying until you find something. I tried, I don't know how many things, right? I changed my diet. I started exercising. I saw some doctors. I was put on prescription medication. I tried a lot of different things,
Hmm.
and they were not helping me until I started working on my mind.
Hmm. So, will you tell me a little bit more about that? What it means to work on your mind and like, especially, I mean, it thinking about all the things that you would think would help that didn't weren't effective for you. So, what does that mean for you in a way that you describe becoming like happier and healthier?
Yeah, so when I kind of exhausted everything that I was looking for, um, I actually reached out to my husband, who is a clinical hypnotherapist. And he would come home from work every day and tell me how much he helped this person with anxiety of 20 years to get rid of it in just a few sessions, and how he helped this mom that has 5 children to stop being so angry and stop yelling at her kids. And so one night I told him, I was crying on the couch, and I said, I can't take it anymore. I need you to help me. I need you to. I had a toddler. and a baby at the time at home, I said, I'm not going to be coming to your office, dealing with traffic, parking, and sitting at your office and getting the help. Make me some audio recordings for what I'm going through. And this is my last resort because I've tried everything else. And he did. He made me a few sessions, and that was the beginning of MamaZen. And within a few weeks, I started feeling the anger and the rage lifting off. I was able to notice it and be mindful about it and make a choice. Do I go full rage, or do I pause and calm myself down? And that helped me a lot with the burnout. It also helped me change my perspective. I would wake up in the morning dreading the day, like what shoe is going to drop on me today. So that helped me with that. And it helped me with feeling happy where I am right now. Not think about the future, not focus on the past, just kind of be in the moment. And that helped me a lot. So the cognitive hypnotherapy and mindfulness combined offer a very effective solution because they deal with the subconscious mind. So you can go and read a book about parenting and how you shouldn't be yelling at your kids, but because when you read it done consciously, your subconscious is not able to change the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to really think about the mind. It has two main parts: the subconscious mind, which is 85% of your brain power, it's your operating system, and the conscious mind, which is 15%. So everything, almost everything we do throughout the day is an automatic behavior. So you yelling at your kids might have started even before you had kids. If you were raised in a household there was a lot of yelling, your operating system, your subconscious mind, is used to that type of behavior. So when you have kids, all of a sudden you sound like your mother, and you're like shocked, like, oh my God, I thought I was going to be totally different. But your subconscious mind is controlling your behavior because that's what you know. And that's exactly what we do with MamaZen. We help the moms to really go deep into their subconscious mind, be able to change their reactions, to be more loving, to be able to break the generational cycles.
That's amazing. And it's so connected to what we talk about so much with the impact of ACEs, like what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, so much of your subconscious mind is a result of your upbringing. And there's so much that is a part of how we interact with the world, how we react to certain things around us that aren't those conscious decisions. They're just the way that we were wired based on either our home or our neighborhood. So it's so interesting to think about like really targeting that area of your mind specifically that maybe these other types of therapies aren't.
It's correct. And actually, research is now showing that cognitive hypnotherapy is more effective in overcoming anxiety and depression than traditional therapy because it delves into the subconscious mind. It is more powerful. And you have to really think about it. We're expecting our kids to behave perfectly. But then what do we show them? We show them that when we're stressed out, we're losing it. So then when they have a tantrum, we tell them, no, it's not okay to behave like this. But they're like sponges, right? So and until the age of 8, kids are really in hypnosis most of the time. Any pretend play that you see a child playing, they're in hypnosis. So it's actually a very natural state for the mind. And until the age 8, their kids' brain is very open to their environment and it's shaping them. So it's very, very important to really focus on yourself. Show your children you do self-care. They actually take pride in it. If they see the mom doing a mindfulness session on MamaZen, they want to do it too. And we also have kid sessions in there. But that's something you could do together with your child and teach them the power of the mind. Teach them to have healthy eating habits, to go to bed on time, to not lose control and yell. So
Yeah, and I love thinking about looping the kids into what you're doing, bringing them in, and because now you're creating that new generational cycle of taking care of your mind, prioritizing that, because now your kids, instead of witnessing, yelling, they're witnessing someone that's like, taking a moment, being patient, and navigating things differently. And so now that's going to become a part of, their subconscious that they're carrying,
Yeah.
into their adulthood, which is really beautiful. And it also kind of brings me to the different stages
Mhm.
of um, what this looks like for parents. Obviously, in pregnancy, or, when you have an infant, they're not going to be able to participate with you. So if you could dive a little into what those different stressors are that you see throughout the different stages of parenthood, and what like unique approach each of them kind of require, um, that would be, I think, really helpful to the caregivers in our community.
Okay, so let's start with pregnancy, right? I think the main stressor is to have a healthy and as easy as possible pregnancy. So I think the main focus should be on healthy eating habits, really avoid processed food and sugary foods, go to bed early if you know that you're having tough time staying asleep for long periods of time, and just really enjoy this period before the baby comes, and you can still kind of relax if it's your first pregnancy. Once the baby's here, one of the main stressors is taking care of a baby, right? It's a big responsibility. You have to make sure it's fed, comfortable. They're very uncomfortable most of the time. So, really try to have somebody there to help you with the amount of work that is needed. If it's breastfeeding, having somebody else change the diaper, or help with the bottles and the laundry. So really try to create kind of your own village so you can take a shower and be able to brush your teeth, because it's just so intense. After that, toddlerhood, there's a lot of emotions. So you have to really be the center of calmness. And it's really hard at times because you're like, what is going on? So really work on yourself and your composure. And if they see that you're not overreacting to things, they will feel very safe, and they will be much calmer than if you were losing control. And then you have preschoolers. Tough time. They really want to be with you all the time, and you really have to teach them that it just doesn't happen. So be, again, like a center of love and empathy, and give them a lot of love in their love language. Give them hugs and kisses, and tell them how you feel, and tell them it's all going to be okay, and keep the same schedule. They like to see predictability. It keeps them in a safe mode. So really try to tighten the schedule. Bedtime is bedtime, routine is routine. And then you have grade schoolers. Now it's starting to shift a little bit. Now you have outside sources that affect them and how they behave, and they want to be accepted, and you have school pressures. So really try to find educating them, do activities with them, talk to them when they're not upset about things. And when you try to ask them questions about how your day was, ask them more specific things, like share with me one thing good that happened today. Share with me one thing you learned. They can't handle too many questions, and they will not answer you in a paragraph. So it will be a few words. So try to be very, pinpoint to what you are trying to get out of them. And then teenagers, those are tough times.
Yeah.
As you can remember, being a teenager just wasn't easy. So we have sessions for them to help them with their confidence, because it's a lot about confidence at the time. They want to be accepted by others, and it's just sometimes doesn't happen. So really, they have to be more focused on themselves. And again, habits. Make sure they're eating healthy. Make sure they're going to bed on time. Make sure that they are following your guidelines, and try to avoid categorizing them. Don't tell your child who is a teenager, well, of course you have anxiety, or of course you're not good at math because I wasn't good at math. So don't label them, because they are not the same as us. and they can do amazing things. So use encouraging language during this time. Don't be like, oh, I wasn't popular, so it's okay, you're not popular too. Just be like, you're not popular today, but that can change tomorrow. So give them that hope, because life as we know changes and fluctuates all the time.
I love that. And I love that you gave a combination of like really tangible help, and then obviously also the mindfulness and like taking time to kind of like, center yourself, but also like teach them how to do that, because sometimes you do just need an extra set of hands, because the workload is big. But then sometimes it is a mindset thing. So knowing when it is which and how to balance them both, I think is so important. And then speaking of that, and all the crazy amount of responsibilities, you obviously work with a lot of parents that are seeking to include more mindfulness exercises in their days. So what do you find to be like a good strategy for parents to fit it in? Do you see like what advice do you give, or what do you hear from parents that like really makes it work to fit into their day?
Yes, so we are very thoughtful in MamaZen, and we create sessions that are as short as 2 minutes.
Wow.
And they really help you to set the tone for the day. And we have emergency sessions that are between 4 and 8 minutes. And that's when you're about to explode and you're like running to that nearest closet. And you can do those when you're really feeling like that's it. And then we have the more deeper sessions that are about 20 to 25 minutes, which really dive deep into trauma and other breaking generational cycles and other things.
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing is figure out when you're at your weakest point throughout the day. Is it 3 p.m.? Is it 6 a.m.? Is it 7 p.m.? And then connect the session to that time. Beat that time by about half an hour. So if you know that you're about 3 o'clock, you become the mean mama, then at 2:30 you do a session, even if it's 5-7 minutes long. Also connected to things you do every day. You brush your teeth in the morning, do a quick session. You're waiting in the car line, do a quick session. So kind of
That's
connect.
what I was just thinking. I'm like, on my way to pick up my daughter from school, I need to like get in the mindset. So I'm like so excited to see her, and then she's like in the worst mood. She's hangry, but she won't eat, and I'm like,
yes. So definitely, that that's a trigger for you. So try to do a session before, not while driving. You can do the pep talks while you're driving, but right before you pick her up, if you have that 5 minutes that you can turn off the car, park it, and listen to a session. If you don't react to her trigger, then you will do better, and she won't probably have that tantrum because she'll feel very safe and very calm.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much again for being here with us. I feel like you've given parents and caregivers a lot to think about, a lot to hopefully fit in. I mean, 2 minutes. When people say like 20-minute workout, that's nothing. I'm like, it is not nothing. I don't have 20 minutes, but I have 2 minutes. So I think that it's accessible, which is so important to us. Like, obviously families have so many different budgets, both time, financially, whatever. And so 2 minutes, I think that most people can start on their healing journeys. So thank you so much. And
thank you so much for having me. And really, the moms really need the tools and resources to help them so they can raise the next generation happy, mindful, patient, and kind, right? Isn't that what it's all about? So we're happy to be able to help the family as a whole, and really to focus on the mothers, because they're the ones that are most of the time lifting and helping everybody and being the source of comfort and calmness.
exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.